And the cars grid up now. This is the critical race. Let's look at the way they line up on the Shell Helix race score. It's Murphy from pole, alongside him championship leader Jason Bright, then Mark Skaife third. First the Fords, Marcus Ambrose, teammate David Bernard, then Stephen Richards, Jason Bargwanna and Todd Kelly.
You look down the right-hand side of the Shell Helix grid, you'll see those two yellow boxes. They indicate where they qualified and, of course, where they finished race 2, because that determines their starting grid for race 3.
Tanda will fit into slot 17, then Jason Richards from New Zealand, Rodney Forbes, Paul Romano, Tony Longhurst. Rusty's back there in 22nd, then Tratton Mecklem.
John Faulkner, Paul Morris, Dougal McDougall and John Bow. As a result of that crush on turn 1, he's gone right to the back of the pack with big problems in race 2.
One fella that's not on the starting grid is Craig Lowndes. We're going to talk to him shortly. The problem with his car after the damage sustained in that second race was such that he can't participate in this third and final race today. Greg Murphy. Difficult to see the starters rostrum from the front row of the grid. Set for a start. Great jump by Jason Bright. Bright gets away quite cleanly, and there's a bit of a squeeze on as they head down towards the first turn.
Look at this.
Skaife's buying into it as well. Ambrose is up on the outside. 3 Holdens, then a Ford as they go to turn 1. Then Richards.
Oh, look at that.
I think that Bright might have been shuffled out ever so slightly, a bit of an understeer through the first corner. I think Skaife's come out in second place, and in fact Bright's drifted a couple of spots there. The 2 Fords have moved up. Rodney Forbes has got some smoke coming from the front of his car. So Skaife, Ambrose, Richards, Bright. Looks like we might have got a relatively clean start. They've got through 1 and 4 reasonably cleanly, up into the valley for the first time.
Right, the TWR Australia Commodores were forming like an impenetrable barrier there as they came into turn 1, but on the way out, Bright was left out to dry. Marcus Ambrose took advantage, put up the 3rd place. Good strong start from the Ford runner.
Yeah, it just looked like Brighty must have got out on the marbles or something, because it's going nowhere.
Wide of the race line and on cold tyres. The race had only been started a few seconds, so he just probably found himself out there a little wider than he wanted to be, and it was enough incentive for the others to get through. So they're coming around now to end lap number 1. Remember, this is 35 laps, a 3-race format this weekend. Compulsory pit stop must be taken once more. Holden dominating at the front at the moment. You got Bright really putting some pressure on Richards there. They're making a run down the inside. Pretty clean opening lap, guys. The 2 Holdens.
Oh, look at that thing.
Brighty getting in trouble there with the rear brakes just locking up slightly as he makes the run into 1.
You know what Neil feels like now, Craig?
I do, Barry.
Craig Lowndes joins us, yeah.
Well, it is, I guess, frustrating, you guys. It's just sit up here and watch this race continue. It's one of those things, unfortunately, as Neil said, our car is I guess unfixable at this stage. Obviously, the guy's going to get it back and get it ready for Canberra.
Yeah, we're just having a look at it down in the garage when you got back. That must have been a hell of a hit. It's actually got an imprint from the arm car on the door.
Well, it is. It's unfortunately the car was going exceptionally well. We didn't start the weekend off probably as good as we did at Eastern Creek, but definitely we're working at it. Oscar and the guys at Gibson, we did a fantastic job. Yeah, unfortunately the Armco did all the damage. It's sort of something that's it's been a lot of the front, and as you can see, these guys cruising around. It is very, very frustrating to sit up here. I know how Neil feels.
Yeah, it's an ordinary act. But look at Mark Skaife here, guys. He's really getting stuck into the back of this Kmart car. Consider that he had a stop-go penalty yesterday and he's recovered to a position of strength. Yeah. It's not bad going.
Quite incredible when you think about it.
Well, it is when you think of how the other teams continue to shoot themselves in the foot at the critical time. Marcus Ambrose, for example, had tremendous race pace in that earlier event, but he overshot the pits when he came in for his compulsory stop. As a result, all the guys had to try and move all their air hoses up. Cost him a few seconds, cost him a position.
Fastest man on the track so far, Ambrose, a 1:10.3. He was 4/10 quicker on the last lap than both Murphy and Skaife, and he's buying into this battle. Richards is the next man, then Bright, Bargwanna, Kelly, Bernard, Seaton, Perkins, McLean, Tanda, Larkham, Ellery and Brad Jones. That's your top 15.
It's going to be...
just gives him a tap.
Oh, what a save! That was good work.
You could actually hear... Oh, look at Ambrose.
Look at this.
You could hear Skaife lock up momentarily as he got into the back of Murphy, and if Murphy had turned around, then that would have brought a stop-go penalty for Skaife for sure, but he managed to catch it.
That was a good save.
Got to be impressed with the speed of Marcus Ambrose, Craig. He's had a lot of pace out of this car right throughout the season.
Yeah, well, it is a brand new car for them, for the Stone brothers, and you know, they've done a great job this weekend. You know, I think Marcus has really proven himself this year. He's really come on. He is the rookie, I guess, as the category, and you know, their car is going exceptionally well.
Just a cautionary warning then on the radio to either Skaife or Murph, I'm not sure which, saying it's a long race, be patient.
I was going to say, this is a real tyre management strategy here in this final race. They've got to pick the best tyres they've got out of their 10 used tyres. So this is going to be a critical factor toward the end of this one.
Back on board with Scaife. This is the complex through 2 and 3 into turn 4. Look at the bump there under brakes. We might have a look at a replay of that situation as they went up into the valley on that last lap and see if we can get a better handle on it. And you'll actually hear, if we're quiet, listen to, oh no, we've gone past the braking area, but wallop into the back of Murphy, and he has to keep a right-hand lock onto it, and has a big dead slide.
Fishtail job.
And fortunately, Scaife got out of it and gave him some room to recover. But Ambrose was looking to try and make capital out of that. It's such a slow corner, Craig.
It is, and as you can see, it's actually lifted Greg's rear end up, and you know, Ambrose there, look at him just trying to sneak around the outside of Mark, but I'm sure Mark is not going to give him any room in that. But definitely, it's very, very fast and furious at this open stages, but it is a long race to go.
Greg Murphy, the leader. Mark Scaife second. Marcus Ambrose third. Then it's Stephen Richards, Jason Bright, Jason Bugwan. A good start for the Valvoline driver. Todd Kelly, David Bernard, Glenn Seaton, Larry Perkins rounds out the top 10.
And Murphy bought some time for himself on that last lap with a 1:99. He was 0.4 quicker than Scaife, and there's the confirmation on lap 4. The graphic shows you the story. So Murphy's actually got his tyres normalised now. Temperatures and pressures are up, and he's actually got away quite nicely in that last lap.
It's going to be interesting. We're only 5 laps down when it gets up to sort of late 20s, the tyre situation, isn't it?
Remember that they're using their cleanest dirty shirts in this third race in terms of tyres. You've got to make the best set you can out of what you've got from the shootout, from qualifying, and from the first and second races.
Interesting thing about this track, Neil, though, as you look at the wear rates, I think the tread is 4 millimetres when the tyres new. Looking at some of those HRT things, they're 3.8, 3.9, so minimal wear in terms of tread depth, but it's just the heat you've got to watch out for.
We talked earlier about the cockpit temperatures in the second race. We're hearing figures in the 50s towards the end.
Oh, look at this. Who's that? Perkins?
Ellery, and I think it might have been Russell, actually.
Oh, really? Yes, it was Ellery and Ingle.
So Ingles.
So Faulkner and Ingle also getting very close.
So Russell Ingle, after shattering moment in that second race, first race today, leading it all the way, and just had the tail shaft problem right toward the end. It's really hurt his day.
Tander trying to get up the inside of McLean. Here's a replay of that situation with Ingle, looks like into the back of Ellery through turn 6. Pretty fast part of the track, and the cars are very light there. Bang.
Whoa, that was close.
So Murphy, let's have a look at that again from another angle.
Yeah, we don't quite see the start of it, so it's a little bit tricky to see precisely what's happening.
Very close there, though. Look, get the old feeler gauge out.
Yeah, it's about 2 foul.
Back on board with Russell Ingle.
It's not a dream drive for Russell this afternoon, is it?
He's got his hands full. It really has gone from hero to zero.
Slogged out all that way in that heat, and then the thing breaks down with a lap and a half to go. God.
The teams are getting colourful and very creative down here in pit lane. This is some of the innovations that they're using to make sure their drivers hit the mark when it comes to finding their pit bay. Remember, Greg Murphy, well, he missed his pit bay at Adelaide, and so have a lot of others because there's not much room. What they do is they hang one of these colourful signs out. They basically give Larry or Russell the finger here so he knows where he's stopped, because their eyes are so much concentrating down on their dash at that 60k limit.
That's what you did yesterday. You gave Larry the finger there at once. Yeah. Sorry, mate.
I can actually feel for Russell here as well. When you get back in the pack here, he's chasing Steve Johnson, and now it's very, very hard to try and climb back up from back there. It's you know, it's just one of those things. These cars are very, very even, and you know, they're all doing a great job. They're all out of trouble at the moment, still continuing. Greg's been able to get a bit of a gap here, so I don't know what's going on with him. Scaife struggling a little bit, or actually Greg's car is actually handling quite well.
And on that last lap, Craig, you had Murphy punch out a 9.7, Scaife did a 9.8, Ambrose did a 9.8, so he just eased away fractionally again. It seems like it took a while for Greg's tyres and pressures to come right. Once he got the car normalised, he was away.
Must be a little bit frustrating for you, Craig, because you've started the season so strongly. Fred Gibson has said from the start, hang on, this is a development year for us. These are very early days, but I guess there's a public expectation now there for you to do well because you've started so well.
Well, there is. It's something that's, you know, we really said to everyone that this year is all up for us about getting data and really looking forward to next year and getting, obviously, the cars and the team up to scratch for next year. Now, we've started this year off so much better than what anyone expected. You know, these weekends are going to happen, and just, you know, take them on the chin. You go back and I guess you regroup and you get on with it.
But at least you've done something, haven't you, Craig? I mean, that's the way to look at it. No, it's true, though.
For the order at the moment, Greg Murphy's 1 second now in front of Scaife. Marcus Ambrose leaning all the back of him. Top 5 is rounded out by Richards and Jason Bright.
Compulsory pit stop window about to open, and we'll see who does what with their strategy.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on at the Stephen Richards car. He's a bit of a mystery for himself. He said the engine that he put into the car at Adelaide was, at Eastern Creek, I should say, was a jet. And he's come here with the same engine. He said it just doesn't quite have the same sort of throttle response. It just doesn't feel as punchy, even though the car's still doing the times. It's doing good times, but he's having to work harder at it. Order, Greg Murphy, 1.4 seconds the lead over Mark Skaife. Marcus Ambrose in third. Stephen Richards well placed in the FTR Ford. Jason Bright, Jason Bargwanna, David Bernard in 7th. Seaton back in 8th. Larry Perkins, Garth Tander now inside the top 10.
Don't forget, if you're in the area in Victoria on the 27th of May, coming up shortly, the next round of the Konica Series, round 4. It's been a great series so far. So if you get a chance to go down to Phillip Island, make sure you catch that one. And of course, we'll be seeing the action on trackside a little later as well.
If Marcus Ambrose is getting a little bit of a climb in his engine temperature, he's ducking right out, running on his own down there, pulls back in again.
Actually, Greg Murphy's increasing his lead. I think the Ambrose-Skaife little battle there is helping Greg just sort of sneak away. He's only a 10th faster each time to Mark, but it's just helping him just get out there and get some clean air.
Craig, it's interesting. We saw Russell go off the road before. The first 4 or 5 guys are hovering in the high 1:09 region, and Russell's the only other guy in the 9s at the moment, so he's got pace, but he's back in 19th.
It is. It's sort of very hard, as I said before, like it's very hard to climb back from where you are back in so far in the pack. Only maybe now the pit stops will help him leapfrog some of these guys.
End of this lap, the official pit window opens for the compulsory tyre change. So
looks like Bernard's got a bit of a tapping thing on the front of it.
Slightly shorter wheelbase.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it's a good confidence-building meeting, this, for David Bernard.
It's good, though, and there's nothing worse than seeing a guy that's down on his down on his luck, struggling and going to go as fast as he can. You struggle, the harder you try, the slower you go.
Well, he said it's been pure frustration, Baz. He always knew he had the ability to drive the car reasonably well. It's just that he had to get his mind around the discipline required to drive it smoothly. And we got cars in pit lane straight away as soon as that window opened. Mark Skaife.
And I thought we saw an unusual manoeuvre from Stephen Richards there before as well. He pulled a long way left on the front straight, so we'll watch that one with interest. Well, here he is. Well, was it Cito? Anyway, it'll all shake out. Ambrose is in.
Stephen Richards is in.
Richo here. So it must have been Glenn Seaton that we saw a glimpse of on the straight.
Everyone decided to come in early. Oh, good stop from Ambrose. He's got in front of... Here he comes back onto the track now, and there's Skaife. So he wasn't quite fast enough to beat the Holden Racing team, unfortunately, so he goes back behind Skaife.
Skaife's in behind Longhurst, and I think Traddy's the next man in the queue there. So remember, they've come out now on cold tyres. There's Ambrose, that's the margin, Skaife to Ambrose. That's Richards behind. Tyre warmers not allowed in V8 supercar racing, so these tyres have probably been rested in the sun. They've taken a stab at what they want the cold tyre pressures to be, and they bolt the rubber on, and then drivers got to be a little bit cautious for the first few laps, just so you don't spear off the road, CL.
Well, it is. It's something that's, you know, really the time's made up now. These guys like Greg Murphy now who's continued out, Bridie's coming in now. The guys still out in the track really got to push hard to try and get that gap as big as possible and come down pit lane right on 60 kilometres. You know, there is a bit of time difference, and as you can see, the HRT guys working at this one. It's fairly clean.
What do you think about speed limiters down in the pit lane?
Well, just something, I guess, you know, it's an issue that drivers are now probably concentrating so hard on pit straights now.
Look at this.
Look at this.
As Skaife get down the inside of... Right, sorry to interrupt there, Craig. Longhurst goes with him.
Oh, dear me.
Almost turned him around. Longhurst has paid the penalty for that one, sticking the nose in there.
Daisy.
But he's pretty vulnerable right there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an understatement.
Car's coming from 270 Ks, braking for a very slow corner. Fortunately, he's got out of harm's way. So,
I believe Murphy's coming in as well. Here he is. We're on board with the race leader.
just watching where Mark Skaife is in the order. He's back in 18th after that stop.
You wouldn't really want the job of standing in front of the car, would you, really?
Look at his chest up and down. He's breathing. The heart's pumping. He's thinking hard at the moment. Anxious for a quick stop. Looked like a good one. Was able to go straight through the Lansvale pit without having to dodge the hoses.
Just down here at pit lane,
be clean seat at the moment. This has been a little bit of a longer stop, and it seems to be the same problem as with Stephen Richards' stop. The guy who was operating the back right wheel has a little bit of trouble with that wheel nut, getting the wheel nut on. It means the stop has been a little bit longer. Now, what that translated to was track time between Marcus Ambrose and Stephen Richards. When they came into pit lane, they were pretty close on track. When they exited, there's a fair bit of space between them.
What an excellent stop from Greg Murphy. That's put him back in front when he's rejoined the circuit in front of Scaife, Bright and Ambrose. So brilliant work by the Kmart racing team. Just goes to show what you're saying, Craig. When you get a bit of clear track, just go for it. Try and make as much track position as you can before you come in for your stop. It's paid off for him there.
Well, it has, and as you can see, Ambrose, unfortunately, has just moved back one, I guess. Jason Bright and the guys down there have done a great job, so here we go. Now, this is interesting because Tony's sort of slotted in behind Mark here, and they've both turned in. I don't think Jason actually saw him.
No, he probably wasn't expecting that by the look. But Tony was actually quite a long way up the side of him, but I doubt by the way. And you get another view here from Marcus's car.
And Marcus would have been...
Eyes hanging out on springs.
Put the brakes on.
Good presence of mind to actually grab the brake then and stop the thing from rolling any further.
Greg Murphy's in fact 5th on the track. He's got Stephen Johnson, Jason Richards, Russell Engel and Paul Wheel ahead of him. But those guys have still to make their compulsory stops. So
well, momentarily Brad Jones was leading on the last lap for the Aussie Mail team. So, and Paul Wheel was also a lap leader there at one stage. So some of the guys that have been having tough weekends, Bradley with that barbecue yesterday really made life difficult for their show.
It's just amazing the way the tactics fall out here, Craig. I mean, you can be lucky and unlucky. Just deciding to stay out for a couple more laps and put in some quick ones. You could get caught by the safety car, but in this case they didn't.
No, I guess that's just the beauty of this style of racing now. It's really down to a team event. You know, the guys in the pits have got to do their job, the drivers have got to do theirs, and you know, this is what it's all about. And this is where it's the beauty of it all, is that things do change.
Yeah.
You see, now Engel's leading, and I suppose the reason that they haven't brought Engel in yet is they got nothing to lose, have they? They could keep him out there, and if they've got a safety car, you know, if basically if he could slot in and then they get a safety car, he's in the pound seats, isn't he? But
certainly talking to a number of team managers up and down pit lane this weekend, there seems to be a growing feeling that they should change the rule where you're not allowed to pit under safety car and allow you to come in under the yellow flag situation.
This is interesting. Bradley's just gone out on cold tyres. He's got a whole bunch of people trying to savage him left and right there at the moment. But what Rusty will be trying to do at the moment is just make hay while the sun shines on an empty track. If there's no danger of a safety car, and you never know when it will come out if an incident happens, if he has got clear air and he's in the high 9s at the moment, he'll jump a few places.
You were talking about how quick Greg Murphy's pit stop was. Well, here's part of the reason why. That man there is the quickest tyre changer in the whole field. His name's Kevin King. Now, the reason why he's so quick is because he's a biomechanic. That means he has done a degree in body movement, and he's minimalised the amount of movement he does to put a tyre on. He is 3 seconds quicker than anyone else in the entire pit lane, and he's a real asset in this Kmart team.
Can you imagine the science that is going to go into getting these crews faster and faster? And biomechanics coming into it now.
exactly. Yeah, we've got to take 4 inches out of your left arm because we figure that we'll be able to get
far too much movement in that right arm.
Yeah, he used to work for me. I didn't know he was a biomechanic. He never told me about that skill.
So the order at the moment, Russell Engel is still leading, but he's got to peel off for his compulsory stop soon. Greg Murphy is effectively your race leader. Mark Scaife in second, Jason Bright in third, Marcus Ambrose in fourth, Stephen Richards in fifth. That'll be the order once Engel peels off.
And Engel's got an 8.6 second lead, so I don't know what the total time is for a pit stop, but he's going to drop back down the order pretty ferociously.
He's suffering time-wise now, isn't he, Russell? Look, 10.2 as against 9.4 for Murphy.
That's right, they're starting to eat back the lead he's got, so there's no advantage in staying out longer at the moment.
So Marcus Ambrose stuck in behind the Holden Racing Team duo, and very little they can do about it at this stage. It's going to be a situation of who's got the best tyres or the best of the dirty shirts, as Crompton said. Cleanest of the dirty shirts.
I think Russell's due in this lap. There he is.
There he goes.
So Engel comes in. Greg Murphy now will take over as race leader. As he flashes down pit straight, Monroe pit stop clock to tell the story. So Engel, the last of the lead drivers, to make his compulsory stop. Let's hope it's slick. He's going to lose a lot of track position here, though. Murphy, Mark Scaife, Jason Bright, Marcus Ambrose, Stephen Richards, Larry Perkins have all passed him so far. So he's dropped right down to the bottom of the top 10. I'm sure there'll be a little bit more damage position-wise. There goes Brad Jones.
Bradley, yeah.
Jones is in 10th.
Cameron McLean.
Yeah, so he's going to get back to about
Larkham.
14th or 15th.
Still, he was 22nd odd or something, wasn't he?
Yeah.
On the grid, so that's it's still something.
That will be about 16th now, I think it'll be.
Word through from the pit lane that Tony Longhurst will be given a stop-go penalty for a pit lane infringement on the next lap.
Well, this gets me back to your question before, Baz, about the pit lane stuff. You know, I guess it would eliminate, I guess, an area where the drivers are so concentrating on speed now. Formula One use it, the champ cars use it, so you know, it'd be very interesting.
The thing, my thought on it is, I said on that V8 Superstars thing, your brain is totally on what you're looking for, people running out, this, you know, wheels coming out, cars putting out. You don't have to think, you know, because you take your eye off the speedo for a second, and all of a sudden you look down again. Marcus having a go. You look down again, and all of a sudden you're doing 65 k's as against 60, and it just takes the. You can keep both eyes on safety then.
Last time through for Greg Murphy, he recorded a 1 minute 9.4, so he's still scorching along. He's basically the quickest man on the track, and he is at the top of the field, so I guess he's in his rightful spot. Scaife's last lap was a 1.97, Bright a 1.98, Ambrose a 1.99. Murphy's margin 1.6 seconds on the last lap, lap 19 of 35.
So how do you feel about bending Crompton's race car, Craig?
Hang on while I just bend lounge here.
Well, I guess it's disappointing. Like, as I said, the Gibson guys did a fantastic job, and you know, they were really you know, trying to find the best way of getting me back out there this afternoon, but it wasn't to be. And you know, we've just got to look at now for Canberra and beyond, and hopefully by Calder Park we can have you know, we can get virtually a new car out there and get Neil into one.
I think the proof of how early it is in the Gibson Motorsport days is that Fred was saying, well, all our spares are in the Stone Brothers truck. We haven't got any to put into this car anyway.
Well, that's it, and that's just something, as I said, you know, this year was all about learning and developing, and you know, next year, by, you know, hopefully by Bathurst, we thought we'd you know, we'd be starting to win races. We'd done it earlier, so it's great.
Yeah.
Then you've got this terrific battle going on between Perkins and Bernard. These guys are arguing over 6th and 7th. And then right in behind them is Glenn Seaton, and he has recorded the quickest lap so far. You saw the caption before, 1 minute 9.0. So that's quite a lot quicker than anybody else in the field. 0.4 faster than the next nearest guy, who was Greg Murphy.
So give David Bernard not only a boost in confidence, but a very important championship situation. Top 32 place cars go through to the GMC 400 in Canberra. Things were looking a little bit shaky for David coming into this weekend, but he's well and truly fought his way back into a strong position.
We talked before about Tony Longhurst and the fact that he'd have to come in to serve a stop-go penalty for a pit lane infringement. He's just done that. What it was for was exactly the same thing that happened to Garth Tander in race 1. A wheel nut rolled across out of the pit bay into the fast lane. The officials very quickly onto that, so Tony in for a stop-go. And I can also tell you they're currently investigating an incident involving Paul Morris. His car stalled during his pit stop, but it wouldn't restart under its own steam. The team gave it a push start, and the officials seem to think that's not in the rules.
You can sort of feel something brewing here a bit between Bernard and Perkins. You can just sense it, the last couple of corners over the back of the circuit. It was like, so we'll watch this one with interest. You look at me strange, Kim Sabi?
No, I don't.
That's what I said about you yesterday.
Exactly.
And then we saw Larry touring the paddock, and we did actually point the finger at you.
I went up to Larry and I apologise for it. I made a driver error, and you know, it's not something that I'm very proud of. But you know, when I do make a mistake, I'm I guess man enough to go and apologise for it. But you know, it's one of those things that you know, difference between the Commodore and the Falcon, different sections of the circuit. Each car is a little bit quicker than the other. So this section here, I think the Ford is a little bit quicker than the Commodore.
Do you find it frustrating, Craig? Because I think of your career in touring cars, the vast majority of time you've been right at the pointy end or amongst the top 2 or 3. Is it frustrating now finding yourself, you know, battling back there, sometimes in 10th place or whatever?
No, I think it's a bit of a challenge. I think it's great. It's given me a boost. It's really, I'm really enthusiastic. I'm working very hard with Oscar and the guys, and you know, that side of it I really enjoy. Obviously, you know, we'd love to win every race, but you know, for me now is a challenge. And as I said, this year was all about getting data and research. So when we come back here next year, hopefully we'll be at the other end of the field.
Look at this. This is going to end in tears.
David is really searching for gaps here. We just had word through a minute ago that Greg Murphy's got a sticking throttle now. yesterday, you recall, he went off in the sprint race and we were pondering why that happened, and we thought it may have been an unforced error, but he had that problem going into turn 4 yesterday, which is just at the end of this little bit of straight here. Todd Kelly also is going to get a stop-go penalty for a pit lane infringement. Now, the other interesting thing, if Murph has got this problem and it's giving him grief, he can let Mark Skaife go by and still win the round, according to our statistician Nigel Greenway, and we never argue with him.
Because he's too big.
Just looking at who's hot and who was not in that round of pit stops there. That decision by Russell Engel to come in with an empty pit lane paid off in terms of times. He was quickest with 12.4 second pit stop. Bridie was second on 12.7. Stevie Johnson and then Mark Skaife was third. As fast in terms of the fastest out lap in race 2, that was Engel, and also Brad Jones was the fastest on the cold tyres.
Well, you're on it, Grant.
Sounds like an order.
Thanks, Baz.
Yeah, you're not an accountant, are you?
Bradley Jones actually stays in the top 10 at the moment. He's 9th. So it's been quite a good recovery for the Aussie male team after their awful day yesterday. They are showing reasonable car pace at the moment. He's done a best lap of a 9.5 and his last lap was a 10.1. Look at this, it's still brewing. Still bubbling.
Yeah.
David Bernard's had a very different approach to his racing since the start of this series. After such an abysmal start, he's realised he really wants to be very close to the team on a day-to-day basis. So he's moved from his traditional base in Sydney up onto the Gold Coast, and he's really very much focused on his racing like his teammate.
Larry had the rear brakes just chirping into turn 4 that time, and he had to drive a little shallower to stop Bernard getting up the inside.
Greg Murphy, the gap's only 0.7 of a second. Yeah, he's closing in. Mark Skaife really knows there's maybe a bit of a problem here, because Murphy has now fallen into the clutches. It was out to about 1.4 seconds. Now it's under a second. And Skaife is all over the back of the Kmart racing machine. Hard under brakes into turn 1. Skaife takes it.
Yeah, he's left him room there. He's obviously concerned by the problem. And
he's probably had word from his crew, Neil, that he can let Skaife go past and still win the round. Maybe that's an important consideration for Greg as well at this stage of the championship. Currently 6th. Well, he came into this round 6th in the points. So he's pretty handily placed. If he can get a big bag of points here, it's really going to help his Shell Championship chase.
He's having a few brake lock-ups. I watched him going into turn 4. He had a rear lock-up.
Oh, look, he's letting Bright past as well, is he?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
looks like he's really slowing down.
It looks like he's struggling.
Yeah, I heard him say, did I hear him say he's got a problem with brakes then? I heard something on the radio that sounded a bit unusual.
He's been locking up his rear brakes on a couple of occasions.
Oh, yeah, there, front left as well.
I think there's dramas here for the Kmart Racing Commodore. Let's see if Bright and Ambrose can pounce at the end of this straight.
Oh, yeah, look, it's locking up the whole time.
So Murphy, after showing so much speed, looks like he's got problems.
Oh, dear me. It's Bargs.
Jason Barg, one away.
There's a dirt track in there.
Coming down through turn 8. Ends up on the grass.
I thought he was going to get the shell sign then.
Good oversteer demonstration, Bargs.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the pass on board with Mark Skaife, and Greg offers no resistance at all. He's left plenty of room, and Mark was able to just squeeze by. Looked like he was right on the limit. Be curious to know what's going on with car 51.
And Ambrose now.
Ambrose, yeah, it's got to be some drama there.
He's got the white flag waving. Now what he's got to do now is just try and keep grinding on and keep those points intact. He's done a pretty good job so far this weekend, even with the odd mechanical hiccup. Can he length it home now?
Well, that's the big question. I've just had a word to team boss Rob Crawford at Kmart Racing. There's a lot of concern down here at the moment. This throttle sticking problem, this intermittent problem, which Neil mentioned before, has resurfaced once again. And Murphy's doing his level best to try and break the car and slow it down. But this problem, they don't know how much longer he can contend with it.
As you know, Craig, to win championships, you've got to be consistent. Murph will just be desperately trying to get that one home.
Oh, definitely. And there's something, all points count here. And, you know, watching another replay here, Mark's just, you know, gone quite easily. Actually, Jason Bright, sorry, gone quite easily down where Mark went. So, you know, definitely no resistance from Greg. And it is a shame because obviously the car was good enough to win on the day. And, you know, problems like this really, I guess, just irritate a driver in a sense that, you know, you would know you were good enough on the day to win that race.
If sticking throttle is the worst thing to have, though, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Like, you know, you're round here.
Bernard. Told you it was brewing. So, and Glenn Seaton's the beneficiary of all that. So there was a bit of a drama there at turn 1. Don't fully know what's happened yet. We might try and get another look at that. But
he's got the hump now, but he definitely got a needle.
So Glenn comes out on top of that little battle with Larry Perkins and David Bernard, and there's a bit of a mark in the left-hand door of Larry's car. Here it is. Under brakes into turn one. Oh, David's got it all locked up.
Back end's locked up on Bernard's. Oh dear,
Give
Larry won't be
kiss.
happy about that.
So he passed him, then Larry repasses him, and then Glenn passes both of them. Thank you, guys.
Larry.
Really appreciated that.
Larry will not be a happy chappie.
If Murph, well, not if, he has obviously got a sticking throttle. If you've got a low percentage, you know, 20, 25, 30% of throttle going into a corner, Craig, it can be just a disaster. That extratricular throttle, that'll be the reason we're seeing the lock brakes. So if it's actually dragging and carrying throttle, and he's going to have to squeeze the heck out of the brakes to actually stop it.
Oh, if it's intermittent, you die. It's horrible.
Well, the pit marshals aren't letting anything pass here for the third time this weekend. They've caught someone for a wheel nut rolling into the fast lane. This time it was Todd Kelly. He's copped the stop-go penalty. The team say it didn't happen. Marshall says it did. He has taken the stop-to-go penalty, so that's all you can do from there.
That's an umpire's call, isn't it? And there's not much you can do about it. But what we are seeing, and we've been grumbling about it, Barry, is we've been saying, come on, consistency. We actually had a yak to Tim Schenken, the race director, between events, and he said, come on, guys, give me a break. I said, well, all right, well, you know, there's John Faulkner chewing on a bit of Northern Territory grass. He doesn't look too pleased.
But I don't think anybody is going to moan about the officialdom. Well, basically, if they're consistent, they are now. They're on it, aren't they? You know where you are. You know what you can do and can't do.
You'll grizzle, because you do in sport when things don't go your way, but if you know that it's going to be applied the same way each and every time, then I guess it's something you just have to accept, and everybody gets on with racing.
Greg Murphy is really hanging on by his fingernails here. Where's Murphy? He's been taken by Richards now.
Look at Ingles.
Just an interesting thing, but I was just going to say, Murphy had to finish 4th or higher to win the day. If Ambrose stays where he is, Ambrose will win the day overall.
Oh, really?
So it could be a Ford victory here. Look at this challenge under brakes once again. And the significance of that, guys, the first Stone Brothers victory in the Shell Championship Series was here in 1999.
Brighton.
This will be their second. So Ambrose now, he's just got to stay where he is and he'll bring it home for Ford. What an amazing effort if he pulls that off. 4th Shell Championship Series round. And he'll be standing on top of the podium.
How good's that?
Well, he's got a long way to go yet, though. 29 laps completed of 35. He's the man of the moment. Marcus Ambrose, and look at the temperatures he's battling in that Pertec Falcon. 52 degrees inside that cabin. Can you believe that? Anyone tells you that these drivers aren't athletes, they're kidding themselves.
Who needs Jenny Craig when you got that?
I was about to say,
The Richards behind you, so be cautious through this traffic.
it's the most expensive weight loss program man can engage in.
Looking at Ingle, he's done a good job. He's got past Larkin, Bargwana, Tander and Bowie.
Paul Forgy just talking to Marcus Ambrose, telling him Richards behind him. Just keep it cool, you're almost there.
How about that Neil Crompton? He's pretty on the ball, isn't he? Just had a word to the officials down here. They tell me definitely the flag was shown to Larry for balking.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're talking to Tim Schenken in the break, and he said, "Oh, look at this!
Yes.
He's made it." Well, maybe that's as a result of that flag. You never know. But Ambrose has got through. And Tim Schenken was saying, "Yeah, we will tolerate a fair bit of." An amount of blocking, but it's got to be right toward the end of the race. There's a certain limit he thinks is acceptable, and Russell Ingall found that out in the first race today. 6 laps from the end is too early to start blocking. So the order: Mark Scaife, Jason Bright, Marcus Ambrose still in 3rd, Stephen Richards in 4th, Glenn Seaton in 5th. So good, strong performance from the FTR.
All that work, and he's just thrown it all away.
He had a real wobble through 6. He got it all crossed up. Then once he's on the marbles, that was it, and it has dropped him back drastically. In behind Murphy now, so
he's back to 9th.
There's an amazing battle between he and Larry. And Brad Jones is in there. Russell Ingall's in there. He's in the top 10. So there's a little bit to resolve here before we get to the checkered flag, guys.
He'll be kicking himself there, David Bernard.
Actually, my eagle-eyed expert guest commentator in here at the moment noticed something a couple of laps ago, that Ambrose is actually slowing quite a lot, isn't he, Craig? His last lap was a 10.8.
Well, he's about half a second off both Bright and Scaife, and Steve Richards, as we heard before, one of their pit crew was mentioning Steve Richards, and just I think I don't know whether Ambrose has got problems with tyres or whether actually physically he's just tiring.
Hey, can I just interrupt? Did you hear the rev limiter on Murphy's car? We were looking backwards from Greg's car, and he must just dip the clutch and let it sing its head off, because it was just screaming through the gear change.
He's just let them through again, so he's really struggling. He's got to try and limp this car home and try and salvage as many points as he can before the end of this race.
Just to answer the John Faulkner mystery, that was an alternator that has packed it in. Once the battery went flat, everything switched off. Put that on top of the fact that his last race he had to retire because his rear brakes were locked on. It's not a good weekend for JFR.
We might try and have a listen to the Greg Murphy mobile again if we can through our onboard camera, because I think you're going to find this thing is really playing up now. I'd say the throttle has really started to stick, because the last time through at turn 1 I could hear the bang, 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 bang of the rev limiter.
And wouldn't you do it? I mean, this is Bernard in the tourist scenic route. It's, yeah, wouldn't you do it? I mean, I just going to whack the clutch in and blow the motor up rather than modify my body.
Just came in a little bit too hot.
Well, if you dip the clutch, as we look at Bernard getting crossed up, if you dip the clutch and just go through the normal process, I mean, it is protected with a 7,500 rev limit. You can probably still struggle around, but it's very difficult to drive a car in those circumstances.
Stephen Richards, meanwhile, has continued to chip away at the back of Marcus Ambrose. The battle for 3rd and 4th. Richards is now 5.8 seconds away from Ambrose. Marcus might have just enough in store to hold him out with only, well, less than 3 laps remaining.
Listen to it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear.
Look at that fight going on in front of him, too.
So what Murph's doing, he's driving like it's got a certain... Listen.
Oh, you can hear it.
He's got a certain amount of throttle percentage, and it's a pretty big one, I might mention. And he just arrives at the corner, dips the clutch, brakes, grabs the gear he wants, and then comes out the other side. He'd be man of the match.
Oh, look at this.
We'll see what sort of revs it pulls when he dips the clutch down here.
Oh, look at that.
Right on the rev limiter, 7,500 RPM. That's going to be very, very hard on the engine.
But hard to drive.
You think about what that's doing to the top end of that motor. Very, very hard.
What about the clutch? Every time he's slipping the clutch to keep it going.
Can Murphy bring it home? He's that close. 2 laps remaining for race leader Mark Scaife. Can Murph hang on?
Listen to it.
I thought I was imagining it when we saw that
heard it
really
before,
camera
and I
thing.
thought that was really strange, because that's not something that would happen down there, and then it tweaked as to what it may have been.
That is mechanical murder. Very, very hard on everything. Bouncing off that.
The great concern, of course, is if it jams at 100% before he gets to that point, and that's what he'll be thinking about. And there's some couple of places around here, particularly turn 8, where you wouldn't want that to happen. The back of the Aussie male Ford Falcon of Brad Jones, and we've talked a couple of times about the fact that he had a tough day yesterday, but it's not a bad recovery. Power steering failure in the first race. And this time through, it'll be 1 lap to go. It's been a pretty entertaining 3rd race today. Russell Ingall's the man giving Bradley some stick at the moment. Let's just refresh that order for you. Scaife, Bright, Ambrose, Richards, Seaton, Perkins, Bernard, Jones, Ingall and McLean in the top 10. Murphy out of the top 10 now, back in 11th. And really, as you've seen, just limping home.
Had some tragic stories this weekend, haven't we? The broken clip on the Jones brothers fuel injector, sprayed fuel all over the car. Then we had Russell's universal joint failure in his tail shaft. Now Greg Murphy at a point where he's ready to pounce. Mechanical dramas. It's going right up and down through the field. And
Scaife's just cruising now. The last lap was a 10.3. He's got a 5-second margin over Bright. He's got a margin over Ambrose, and Craig picked it before. He's just drifted back. His last lap, Ambrose, was 1:11.4, so I reckon the rear tyres on that car may be a little tired.
Might be the old HRT 1-2, but if Ambrose can bring it home in 3rd, he's going to win the day.
I think I'm going to, when it comes around to the Melbourne Cup, I'm going to ask Mark Osler to put me money on.
Checkered flag for Mark Scaife, who wins race 3, round 4 of the Championship Series. And another excellent job from the Holden Racing team. Then Jason Bright in 2nd, Marcus Ambrose in 3rd, and then quite a margin, as you can see, back to Stephen Richards. And we're calculating our numbers, but it looks as though Marcus Ambrose is the round winner for Ford. That's a breakthrough. Fantastic.
Stone brothers know how to operate around this place. 2 years ago, they did it with Jason Bright.
Glenn Seaton for 5th, then David Bernard is next. I think, yeah, Larry has gone missing there, has he? We'll have to have a look at that more carefully. Oh no, Larry came through ahead of Bernard, then Jones, Ingall, McLean and Larkham, Murphy, Bargwana, Tander and Bow. Russell Ingall, tough day today, promised so much.
Fantastic from Ambrose. I mean, how good is that, really, when you think about it? I think he's done incredibly well. You know, when you consider how much experience the kids had, or guys had, it's really, look at that. The eyes say it, don't they? The Murph, I bet he's glad to get out of that thing.
because the other thing about Ambrose there is it's also highly likely, given that he was probably informed that he was going to be the race or round winner, that it was just as easy to back off and take it easy. So maybe there wasn't a problem. But either way, an excellent performance. Some star performances all round. The Holden fans happy about the race team guys coming home 1-2. And the Ford fans thrilled to get a round win with Marcus Ambrose in the Stone Brothers Pertec Ford. And can you imagine how hot and sweaty these guys are going to be?
Dear me.
Easily dump 2, 3, 4 kilos on a day like today with 2 longer races.
But you'd like to be out there.
But I'd still like to be done with it. Craig, thanks very much for coming up and keeping your teammate happy up here and holding my hand. It's a shame that that was the situation, but we'll look forward to seeing you in Canberra.
Well, thank you for letting me up here, but I can wish you I can say that I wish I was out there racing.
Well, thanks for dropping by, and we'll look forward to a good result from you down at the GMC 400 in Canberra. Mark Scape unbuckles. He's the race winner for race 3. His teammate Jason Bright was next, then Ambrose, Richards, Seaton, Perkins, Bernard and Jones is 8. Further back in 9th, Russell Ingall, not a bad recovery. McLean, Larkham, Murphy, Bargwana, Tandabau and Johnson.
Incredible, isn't it? Did you expect on Friday? I know you had some dramas with qualifying, or mainly the shootout, I should say, on Saturday, and you weren't too pleased after yesterday's race, but here you are.
Yeah, we've made a few small errors during the weekend, but you've got to be there at the finish, and that's what we were. We finished every race and kept the car straight, and that's what it's all about.
You're short on breath. Is it tough here at Hidden Valley, is it?
I've never, ever been so hot in my life. I just didn't appreciate how hot Darwin was, and just makes, I don't know how really people can drive here like this, you know, but great. Yeah, like I've done a lot of work fitness-wise to be ready for races like this, and it's all paid off.
You came to this championship impeccably credentialed, but did you think you'd win a round so early?
No, I thought it would take a little bit longer. I thought maybe 6 months before I had my real speed and consistency, but yeah, we're still making mistakes, but we've got wins, so you know, look out.
Well done. Bring on Canberra, he says.
Yeah, bring it on. Thank you.
All right, Bridie, fantastic job, second overall in the day, but Scapey just got you in that first turn.
Yeah, he did. We were sort of boxed out wide there, and a few guys slipped through, which was pretty disappointing because it was a great start, and you know, we just sort of lost all the first corner, but luckily my guys at Holden Racing Team did a fantastic pit stop and got us back out in front of Marcus and also Richo, so we're very lucky.
Well done. You're covering yourself in tape to hold together those blisters. Well, we know that you found Adelaide extremely hot. Is this worse?
Yeah, this was really hot today. I think it's also the humidity. Adelaide was hot and all the concrete walls around, but I think it's just the humidity and everything here that certainly took its toll. But yeah, very tough race.
You seem to be taking a very cautious approach to the championship. Is that the way that you do well in this championship?
Yeah, for sure, mate. I've seen them win it that way plenty of times. So you know, once you've got a bit of a buffer like we've got, you know, we just want to keep on accumulating those points, and you know, you look at who's in front of you at the time, and you know, you just take it from there.
Congratulations, Jason. Good drive.
Thanks, Brett.
Well, third place today, and the fight back of the weekend has to go to Mark Scafe, mate. That was a well-deserved drive.
Well, you know, obviously after the car was so good early in the weekend, and then had the stop-go penalty made us work for the weekend, and to get back to the front again, Rusty, was fantastic. I mean, the guys have done an unbelievably good job, great stops. The car hung onto its tyres very well, and that's the key to the success of HRT.
Slick result for the last race of the day, and I guess a great result all round when you consider that you've obviously got the tyres and the strategy just right.
Yeah, look, at the moment things are going great. I mean, you know, congratulations to Marcus. It's a good result for Ford, but we'll be back and into them again. So, you know, I can't wait for Canberra.
Yeah, I bet you can't either. Well done, mate.
Thanks, mate.